Switch to English. I'm going to introduce Mark. Mark, if you can please join us. So here's the founder of Facebook.
Hey guys, it's awesome to be able to come to a city that I've never been to before and have this many people who are excited about developing on top of our platform. So thanks for coming out. It's good to be here and get a chance to talk to you guys. I'm just going to talk for a few minutes, and then I want to take most of the time just to answer questions that you guys have. So no prepared presentation or anything like that. Although beforehand I will say, this is my first time in Spain, first time in Madrid. I'm only here for one night, so if you guys have suggestions on things I can do, I want to see how many suggestions I get. So the primary reason why coming to Spain at this point, I've also just, this is kind of part of a trip that I'm taking where I was in Germany last week and also went to Paris and London. Right now is a pretty exciting time for Facebook in Europe because in a lot of countries like Spain and France and Italy, Facebook is kind of at this tipping point where we've seen that in a lot of different countries it can reach 30 or 40 or, and at least one example, 50% of the online population can be using the site. Okay. But we're at a point now in some of these countries where it's still around maybe 7 or 8% of the population is on Facebook, but it's just growing really quick. So there's this inflection point that's happening, and I wouldn't be surprised if I came back a year or two from now and it was twice or 3 times as many people on as there are now. So it's just a really exciting time to have a chance to come here and connect with a lot of people who are using Facebook in interesting ways, people who are developing on top of it. So thanks for having me.
Hi Mark, I'm Ana Maria Lopez. I just wanted to ask one question and say that Facebook has changed my life. I'm an internet entrepreneur. I built the first internet bank of Spain, the first internet broker of Spain. I worked in the first store in Spain, and now I'm building a project for ideas. But I just wanted to say that now I relate to people by Facebook rather than by email. People just give me more information. My mother is 82. I put her in Facebook. She connects with the grandchildren all over the place. And finally, I got in touch with all my cousins who are all over Latin America and the U.S. and that I have not seen for 10 years or something. So thank you for that. There's another question. As an entrepreneur, and for people who are entrepreneurs and also for developers who are working on startup companies, why don't you tell us a little bit about your starting point? How did you get the funds? When did you really know that you had made it? What was the critical mass that you say, this is flying really? Would you tell us a little bit about that? I think we all love to know those points as well.
Yeah, sure. How many of you guys have heard the story before?
Okay, cool. In Spain, no, I think you should tell it. In Spain, it's a story, but I think you should tell it. I think people would love to hear it.
Okay. I just want to get a sense. So I started the site from my college dorm, right? And the original version of the site was incredibly simple. So there were kind of 2 starting points that I'd say. The first was that my friends and I always used to sit around. I studied computer science and psychology, but the computer science part of my friends, we used to just sit around a lot, talking about things that could be made and like different cool things that we thought could exist, and just how cool it would be if everyone around the world was using a platform to share information, and therefore the world was just more open and people could understand what was going on with different people because of that. So that was kind of one thing. At the same time, we never thought that we would be a part of building anything like that. So what I actually built was just a very small, simple application for people to share information, just put a little bit of information up for one school, Harvard, right? And I literally just wrote it in a couple of weeks. A couple of my friends, I told them about it. They invited their friends, and within a couple of weeks, it was something like 2/3 or 3/4 of Harvard students were on the site, and so it was pretty crazy, right? So then people from other schools started writing in and asking us to launch it at their schools as well. So at that point, I kind of got my roommates together, who some of them also studied computer science. It was like, all right, let's work on this. Let's work on trying to spread this to other sites, to other schools. So we took the rest of the of the school year and spread it to about 30 more schools. Right? And in each school, it took off very quickly. And some it took like half the school signed up immediately, right? And some took a little bit longer, but it was just like, but in general it was like working, it was going really quickly. And then for the summer, we decided to move out to Palo Alto. And Palo Alto is in Silicon Valley, which is like, you know, this mythical place where all the technology companies come from, and I just figured, oh, how cool would it be to be out there for a summer, just to be around some of these companies, the great companies that are getting built. And the idea wasn't to actually move out. I fully thought that we were going to go back to school at the end of the summer. But over the summer, we got, you know, another 100 schools or so ready to launch. We set up a data center out there so that we can deal with a large amount of traffic. You know, it was pretty intense to do that and build Facebook at the same time. So we just figured, you know, with more than 100 schools on Facebook, and probably like about 1 million people at that time would be that number of schools. We just figured it would be really hard to do that and be in school at the same time. So we just decided to take a term off from school. And that's like how it got started, basically. I mean, there was actually never a point when we were like, all right, we're going to like decide to drop out. It just kind of, we took a term off, and then it kept on growing, and we took another term off, and then we raised some money, and we took a year off, and then by that point, it's like we had like 15 million users. It's like, all right, I guess we're not going back. But, so, in my last semester at Harvard, Bill Gates came and spoke to one of my computer science classes. And this is like a story that I like to tell. Because someone asked him like what advice he had. And his advice was that people should take time off from school. And his rationale for this was that Harvard has this great policy where you can take as much time off from school as you want, and then you can go back. And he ended with, if Microsoft ever falls through, I'm going back to Harvard. So, you know, Microsoft did okay. But that was basically, I mean, there was really never a point where I was like, I'm going to drop out to do this. I mean, if like we had to drop out, that would have been a really hard decision to make. My parents were like not that psyched about it. But yeah, basically just little by little, it just kept on growing. And, I mean, I think that's actually a really, like, it's a pretty normal story, right? Because I think normally, people like to portray these things as like, you have an idea, and then immediately it's like, it grows and it's huge. And I just don't think that that's the reality with most things. You know, with Facebook, it started off very simple, and we just worked really hard. And it was like a lot of people who were like really passionate about helping people share more information and building something, and just like coming to work and really kicking ass for like 4 years. And then, you know, by the end it's like, okay, now we have 100 million users, we can look back and it's like, awesome. But it was just, I mean, that's really the story. It was like a lot of work and a lot of focus along the way.